After the release of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sega sort of entered this phase where nothing mainline came out of the franchise for the time being. Other than a port of Sonic 3D Blast, which I covered on the previous part, for the Sega Saturn, the Game Gear games, and a spin-off for the 32X, nothing came out. Especially when the Sega Saturn, Sega's answer to the likes of the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64, didn't set off that far because of it. However, in 1997, we probably got the closest thing we've gotten after several years in the game for the Saturn, Sonic Jam. Sonic Jam was a compilation of the three Genesis games, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but it also included a fun little place to run around in a 3D space. This is the first time Sonic was in 3D. No, it wasn't cancelled, and no, it wasn't isometric. This was true 3D. The bonus world to run around in wasn't just an extra feature for the small compilation, however. It led to one of my personal favorite games of all time, Sonic Adventure. But before we talk about that and beyond, we need to talk about a quick segue between Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Adventure. Whoa, you're thinking, Jack, what is this game? Well, Sonic Pocket Adventure was a small little game for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. It was released around the same time as Sonic Adventure, and it was heavily based on Sonic 2, borrowing much of the stage themes and gameplay elements, but featuring unique stage layouts, elements from the other two, and extra game modes. Sega's Yuji Naka, the creator of Sonic himself, along with the rest of Sonic team, supervised in production. Overall, it was a very faithful game, but what about the music? Well, you'd think that they would use Sonic 2 music, right? Wrong! They used the music from Sonic 3 instead. Good choice, since Sonic 3 and Knuckles has some of the best the franchise can offer, as previously mentioned. This was probably because SNK and Sega didn't want to deal with the troubles of paying fees for Masato Nakamura's tracks, composer of Sonic 1 and 2, as previously mentioned in the last part. In this game, you can hear these nice tunes in 8-bit fashion, but sometimes they're in odd places, but that's okay. And yes, to all my Hydro City fans, do not fret, for we can rejoice that we indeed have some music representation. Overall, pretty underrated game. Okay. Time for the big one. Time for the big one. Sonic Adventure is a game I hold near and dear to my heart, but I don't want to get too much into it right now anyway. Yeah! Let's talk about the music. Sonic Adventure's soundtrack was composed by Jun Sonoe, one of the guys who worked on the Sonic 3 soundtrack earlier. Jun went on to introduce one of the key elements into future Sonic games and their music. You see, around Sonic 2 when Masato Nakamura was still in charge of music, he went for more of a poppy vibe to it, and that's great. However, now, Jun introduced Sonic into the rock genre. Almost every track in this game has a guitar somewhere in it, and even then Jun twiddled around with even more genres and mashed them together with rock, making the experience very unique. Just opening up the game and running around in Emerald Coast gives off such peaceful and calming vibes, like you really are on the beach running away from winds. Each character got their own themes, and without making the segment 20 minutes long, I'll only bring up my favorite, Unknown from Me. Only the real ones understand why this track slaps so hard. Of course, I can't forget about another staple introduced here. The final boss tracks are badass rock tunes. Think about it. Most games usually have this big, grand, orchestral, epic track while you fight a giant enemy, but Open Your Heart, the opening theme to the game and the final boss theme, is a kick-ass hard rock anthem that gives you the perfect amount of determination. It's aimed to empower the player. Even when things get scary, the game wants you to give it your all and kick ass. This tradition would carry on to the majority of future Sonic games until more around the modern era. However, Open Your Heart is probably the best out of every other final boss track. Even better than Live and Learn in my opinion. Overall, a really good soundtrack. Let's move on. I feel like with Sonic Adventure 2, which is still good, don't get me wrong, I prefer Adventure 1 tracks a lot more. However, I feel like they could go both hand in hand, kinda like the games in general. Most of the game's philosophies carry over from the original, and this time I can't help but shout out to Aquatic Mine and Pumpkin Hill. The Knuckles tracks made those Emerald Hunt stages slightly better. Anyways, remember how I said that Adventure 1 mixed around with the rock genre and other genres? Turns out, here he kinda went back to the guitars, and that's fine. Sometimes musicians take different directions in their work. This doesn't mean that other genres weren't thrown out altogether though. Examples include the synth pop from the Tail stages and the chill jazz from the Emerald Hunt stages. Obviously, like I said earlier, the music still slaps though. City Escape, along with being probably one of the most iconic scenes in a Sonic game to date, also has an extremely catchy and energetic tune called Escape from the City. Such an iconic tune, and it's right at the start of the game. The Sonic Advance Trilogy were 3 games that were released during big games like Adventure 2 and Heroes, and introduced several new characters and combined elements from the classic games along with the 2 Sonic Adventure games. I discovered that this game kind of sided with both the classic poppy music we've seen in the classic games along with the rock music we've been seeing from the adventure games. You can really tell the influence when you listen to them individually. I feel like my favorite track out of the trilogy would be Sunset Hill from Advance 3. Yes, it's a remixed version of Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1, but that's what I like about it. It's an entirely new take on what we've heard in the past so many times, and with what we've heard in games in the future, just didn't do the same. Really good stuff. If you want to listen to the soundtracks from the Advanced Trilogy, go on YouTube and find remastered tracks or whatever. They're everywhere, and remove the GBA compression that came with the original hardware. Jun Sonoe would remain the sound director for the Sonic games for a few more years, minus the Advanced Trilogy, and he composed the tracks for Sonic Heroes as well. This time around, Jun shifted musical styles by stage rather than by character specifics. You know how in Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic and Shadow had rock jams, Tails and Eggman were more synth-heavy, Knuckles and Rouge were more jazzy and chill, you get the ordeal. Here tracks are based off the more vibrant stages that the teams of 3 would run through. The art style and level design kind of harkens back to the Genesis days of old. Some highlights here are the rock jams of Seaside Hill, the synth rock of Grand Metropolis, the hard techno of Casinopolis, the atmospheric rock of Lost Jungle, and the hard rock of Egg Fleet. The adventure era of Sonic games really changed things up, and I'm not sure how such a change in style happened over the span of a couple years. Jun Sonoe really did give it his all and created some memorable and iconic tunes to the franchise. Of course, the games I mentioned weren't just what we had in store for the Green Eyes era. Shadow the Hedgehog by Spin-Off was Jun's last game that he directed sound-wise. However, they would continue to bring it back for more stuff, including Crush 40. Sonic Battle was another spin-off composed by the trio who did the Advance games, and though it was an isometric fighter at its core, it connected elements of Sonic Advance 2 and 3. In the end, this would conclude the Green Eyes era. As for what came next in the franchise, took yet another grand turn in the music for Sonic the Hedgehog.